Ever heard that math could save your life? Well, for one student, it wasn't just a saying. Meet Alex, a kid with a brain sharper than a graphing calculator, but with a reckless streak, a mile wide. He was the kind of guy who'd desolve a complex equation just for fun, but would probably forget to look both ways before crossing the street. One rainy afternoon, hiding out in the dustiest corner of the old town library, a place most people had forgotten existed, Alex stumbled upon something extraordinary. It wasn't a rare first edition or a hidden manuscript. It was a portal, a shimmering, humming gateway that pulsed with a strange, otherworldly energy. In front of it stood a console, and glowing on its screen was a single, cryptic line. Y equals F. For anyone else, this might have been a sign to run. For Alex, it was an irresistible challenge. His curiosity, as always, got the better of his common sense. Without a second thought, he picked a random number, let's say 7, typed it into the console 4x, and slammed the enter key. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. The hum of the portal became a roar, and the shimmering light erupted into a swirling vortex of colors and shapes. Alex was yanked off his feet, pulled into the spinning chaos. It felt like being shot through a kaleidoscope at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Just as suddenly as it began, it ended. He was spat out onto hard ground, blinking against a strangely bright sun. He stood up, and his jaw dropped. He recognized the city skyline, but it was different. Gleaming, impossibly tall skyscrapers were intertwined with massive, ancient-looking trees and thick green vines. Flying vehicles zipped silently between the buildings. He hadn't just gone somewhere else, he'd gone sometime else. Panic started to set in. He frantically looked around, and to his relief, the portal was still there, humming softly behind him. But the console had changed. It now displayed the result of his input. Let's say the screen showed y equals 23. And below that, a new chilling message blinked in neon letters. To return, find the inverse. The inverse? The inverse. His mind raced back to his grade 12 advanced functions class. The trip to the future was the result of a mathematical function. To get back, he had to reverse it. He had to find f inverse of x. It was like putting on your socks and then your shoes. To undo it, you don't take your socks off first. You have to reverse the order and take your shoes off before you can get to your socks. Every operation, addition, multiplication, everything had to be undone. But in the opposite sequence, this was no longer a game. This was a race against time, in a time that wasn't his own. He grabbed a piece of charcoal from a burnt-out fire pit nearby and started scribbling on a slab of polished stone. The futuristic sidewalk. He remembered his teacher explaining that for a function to have an inverse, it had to be one. Every input had to have a unique output, and every output had to come from a unique input. The portal was a perfect one-to-one function. That's why his journey was unique and, thankfully, reversible. He worked through the steps, isolating the original x variable, swapping x and y, and carefully unwinding the mathematical knot. The portal had tied. Step by step, the inverse function began to take shape on the stone. He double-checked his work, his heart pounding. There was no room for error. With his hands shaking, he carefully keyed his derived inverse function into the portal's console. He took the result he was given, 23, and plugged it into his new equation. He held his breath and pressed enter. The portal roared back to life, the vortex of light reforming. But this time, it felt like a welcoming embrace rather than a violent abduction. He was pulled back through the tunnel of light and color, landing with a soft thud on the dusty wooden floor of the library. Everything was exactly as he'd left it. The rain was still pattering against the windows. He looked at the portal, now just a quiet, shimmering outline in the dim light. He had a newfound respect, not just for ancient, mysterious artifacts, but for the elegant, powerful logic of mathematics. Turns out, paying attention in class can do more than just get you a good grade. It can literally bring you back home. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more adventures in science and beyond.